The nurse's station lights were still buzzing in my ears when my mother said it. Not yelled, not cried, just flat. Today is your sister's birthday. We can't come. 3 hours after I told her my husband and my 2 children were dead. And in that moment, standing in a hospital hallway, still wearing my scrubs, I realized something that hurt worse than the grief itself. My family didn't lose me that night. They chose to. If you've ever been treated like your pain was an inconvenience, like your worst day needed to wait its turn, hit like, subscribe, and settle in. Because this isn't just a grief story. This is a story about what happens when the invisible daughter finally stops begging to be loved and starts building a life that exposes everyone who failed her. My name is Bianca Myers. I'm 34. I'm an ER nurse in Hartford, Connecticut. And before that night in November, my life was small in the best way. Not glamorous, not look at us perfect, just warm, real. Jake and I lived in a 3-bedroom colonial in Farmington, 20 minutes outside the city, where the floors creaked in the winter and the kitchen window fogged when pasta water boiled. Our daughter Lily was 6. She used to tilt her head like she was listening to secrets no one else could hear. She loved butterflies so much, she insisted they were tiny flying promises. Our son Noah was 4. He had this stuffed bear named Captain that went everywhere. Grocery store, bathtub, Sunday service. If Captain wasn't tucked under his arm, Noah would pat his own chest like, "Hold on, something's missing." And Jake? Jake was the kind of man who remembered little things like they were big things. He'd walk past the fridge and adjust Lily's drawing by half an inch so it sat straight. He'd put my phone on the charger if he saw it at 12%. He'd warm my car up before my night shift when the air felt sharp enough to cut. We met because he sliced his hand open helping a coworker move a desk. He walked into my ER at 2 a.m., bleeding through a dish towel, and asked with this crooked little grin, "Are the stitches going to leave a cool scar?" I told him no. He asked for my number anyway. That was Jake, steady, warm, persistent in the gentlest way. And then there was my birth family, the Ashfords. If my life with Jake was a house built on love, my life with them was a room I learned to shrink inside. I was the oldest daughter, the responsible one, the one who didn't get into trouble, the one who didn't ask for money, the one who didn't need anything. Which sounds like a compliment until you realize what it really means. They trained me to be low maintenance so they could forget I existed. I paid my way through nursing school. When I got married, my parents said they couldn't afford anything big, so Jake and I did a courthouse ceremony. Small, simple, sweet. Same year, they threw my sister Megan a sweet 16 with 70 guests and a DJ. Every holiday, I cooked, I cleaned, I brought gifts, I filled gaps nobody even admitted were there. My mother, Linda, didn't call to ask how my shifts were going. She called to ask, "So what are you bringing for dinner?" Jake noticed before I did. One Thanksgiving, after I spent 9 hours in my mother's kitchen while Megan sat on her phone and my father watched football, Jake loaded the car with leftovers. He closed the trunk, leaned in close, and said quietly, "Bianca, your family treats you like the help." And I did what I always did. I smiled. I made excuses for them. They're just like that. It's fine. But it wasn't fine. It just hadn't exploded yet. November 14th, a Tuesday. I was halfway through my shift at Mercy General when my charge nurse touched my shoulder. "Bianca, break room, now." That tone, the careful one, the one we use when the news is about to crack someone in half. 2 Connecticut state troopers were waiting. One held his hat against his chest, the other couldn't meet my eyes. "Mrs. Myers, there's been an accident on Route 44. Jake had picked Lily and Noah up from swim lessons, 7 minutes from home. A man named Gerald Fenton ran a red light. Drunk. Fast. The impact hit the passenger side of our car. Jake died at the scene. Lily died in the ambulance. Noah made it to my hospital, my ER, but I was still in the break room when they brought him in. The trooper said it like a statistic. 3 minutes. 3 minutes between me hearing the news and Noah's last breath. I remember the floor, the cold linoleum, the buzzing fluorescent light like the world was continuing out of spite. My coworker Angela knelt beside me and just held my hand. No words, because there aren't any. At some point, my body did the thing bodies do when they're desperate. I called my mom. It was instinct, primal. When your world collapses, you call the person who's supposed to catch you. The phone rang. Music in the background. Laughter. Megan's voice singing off-key. Then my mother picked up. "Hello, Bianca. Make it quick. We're about to cut the cake." My throat went tight like my body was trying to protect me from the words I was about to say. "Mom, Jake is dead. Lily and Noah are dead. I need you." Silence. Not shocked silence. Not grieving silence. Just calculation. Then my mother's voice dropped low the way it did when she didn't want guests to overhear anything unpleasant. "Bianca, that's terrible." A pause. "But today is Megan's birthday. We have 30 people here. We can't just leave." I pressed the phone harder to my ear like I could push myself into a different reality. "Mom, my husband and my children are gone." "I know, honey," she said, like I'd told her the washing machine broke. "But what do you want me to do right now? Megan will be devastated." Then the line that changed something inside me permanently. "Call your hospital friend. She'll help you. I'll call you tomorrow." And she hung up. I know the exact time because I stared at my call log for an hour after. 9:47 p.m. 3 minutes and 12 seconds. I called my dad next. He answered. I could hear him stepping outside. Wind against the receiver. "Dad, did Mom tell you?" A pause. "Yeah, kiddo, she mentioned it. We'll come see you next week. Hang in there." Click. Then Megan. Voicemail. I left a message I don't remember recording. 2 hours later, she texted. "So sorry. Call me tomorrow." Then Megan showed up at my door, crying like she'd practiced the scene in the mirror. "I miss you. I miss Lily and Noah." And for 10 minutes, 10 whole minutes, I almost believed her, until she finally said the real reason she came. "So Jake left you money, right? 5 million? That's a lot to handle alone. I could help, maybe be on the board." And in that moment, my grief turned cold and clear. Not rage, clarity. I looked at her and said quietly, "You didn't come to their funeral. You didn't call me for months. And the first real conversation we have is about money." Her face went tight. She grabbed her purse. At the door, she tried one last weapon. "Mom is going to be really upset about this." I smiled. Not happy, not smug, just free. "The tone changed," I said, "the night you chose cake." And I closed the door, gently, like you close a chapter you'll never reread. Here's the lesson nobody teaches you. Love shows up, not next week, not when it's convenient, not when there are witnesses. Love shows up now. And if someone treats your worst day like an inconvenience, you're allowed to build a life where they don't get access to you anymore. If this story hit a nerve, if you've ever been the invisible one in your own family, drop a comment. Have you ever had to set a boundary with someone you loved? What happened? Hit like, subscribe, and if you want another revenge story that delivers real justice with cheap drama, there's one waiting for you next. I'll see you in the next one.